to get it out of my system.
Watch it, Alan. I'm shooting.
Maniac. Oh, I love this movie. Maniac follows the story of Frank Zito, played by Joe Spinell, a serial killer in New York City. Frank's a lonely guy who suffers from horrible memories of child abuse. When the memories get to be too much, Frank goes out for a night on the town, going down the seedy streets of New York to hunt down women. Don't worry, men get killed in this movie too. Frank's an equal opportunity psychopath. Maniac has got to be one of the most gritty slasher films ever made, up there with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. True, Maniac is more of a serial killer movie, but it's always been categorized with the slasher genre, so yeah. One of the big things this movie is known for is its gore, and why not? We've got the Baron of Blood, Tom Savini, doing the effects work for the film. The kills in this movie are some of the most brutal in any slasher film, and that's because instead of going for something more over the top, they go for a more realistic approach. One of the best kills in any horror movie is the shotgun scene. The scene is set up perfectly. We're watching the couple make out in the car, and then we see Frank watching them through the windows. We're terrified before Savini gets blown away. Even though all the death scenes are great and all the effects are spot on, the scariest scene after the shotgun scene is when Frank is having a conversation with himself.
Sit and smile, and yes, miss, no, miss, not now, miss. Whenever you say, miss, I know how it is with their airs and their looks and their they can drive a man crazy.
Every scene in Frank's lair is one of those pit-in-your-stomach gulp feelings because it plays on one of the most terrifying concepts. You don't know what people are like behind closed doors. That weirdo next door could be collecting human skin and folding it into origami birds. That would actually be kind of impressive. Joe Spinell does a great job at going back and forth between crazy Frank and normal Frank when he's just going out on the streets and acting like a normal person. Those scenes may seem boring, but they are just as scary as the death scenes because we know what this guy is really like.
Don't be silly. Listen, I'm the photographer, right?
All right.
So I should know what I'm doing, shouldn't I?
I know, but to me, things change.
When Maniac first came out, some people went nuts. This movie was the devil. Critics trashed it, saying it was promoting violence against women. A lot of uptight audience members said the same thing.
There's a lot of controversy over this one, which is why we're paying attention to it. Feminists in particular have said that this is a film that promotes harm to women. Maniac, and the billboards themselves are pretty gruesome. Moviegoers tonight told me the plot is a man who hated his mother goes out and kills women.
All I can say is that when you talk about violence towards women and brutality, this just typifies it, and I think that it is shocking, and it contributes to the injury of women.
I think it was a sick movie. It was kind of stupid, but it wasn't as scary as I planned it to be, like other movies I've seen, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something like that.
Would you think that a movie like that would inspire violence toward women?
Yeah, I think some guys might have ideas watching this, if they're sick-minded coming in here, you never know.
I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here. It's okay if you don't like this movie. I get it. Movies like this aren't for everybody. But to everybody who says that this movie promotes violence against women, they need to understand this is a horror movie about a serial killer. We're following a serial killer. We're not supposed to like him. We're not supposed to like what he's doing. We're supposed to be scared because we're getting a peek into the world of a fucked up individual. That's like saying we're supposed to like Alex from A Clockwork Orange, or like Henry from Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, or like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. We're watching a movie about a villain, and yes, it's kind of oddly fascinating, but again, we're supposed to be bothered by it. I get that the men killed in this movie were just dispatched because they were an obstacle for Frank to get to the women. His targets are women because he was abused by his mother as a child. It's a fact that the majority of serial killers out there go after the gender that they are sexually attracted to. Most serial killers kill because of some sexual thing. Jeffrey Dahmer was attracted to men, so he killed men. Ted Bundy was attracted to women, so he killed women. John Wayne Gacy was attracted to teenage boys, so he killed teenage boys. I feel like I need a shower now. Maniac follows the same patterns that a lot of serial killers follow.
They have to be stopped. It is, you're right. You're right. But not like that. Not that way.
Yes, it's sick. Yes, violence towards women is a terrible thing. That's the point. We're supposed to be horrified by what this man is doing in this horror film. I've seen a lot of people who trash Maniac praise Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. But why?
Did you really kill your mama?
I guess I did.
Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer has violence towards women too, but nobody says it glorifies it. Both movies follow serial killers, and both movies have violence against women, but why does one glorify it, and why is one okay despite having it? One of the reasons may be because some of the violence in Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is more suggested, while all the violence in Maniac is more in your face. People say that Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer gets into the killer's mind more, but you get that in Maniac too. There are a lot of scenes where we get into Frank's head. We get a lot of quiet scenes with Frank as well. You can like one over the other. Hell, I have no problem with people liking Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer more than Maniac. I just don't get why one serial killer movie is okay and the other serial killer movie is Satan. For me personally, I think Maniac completely blows Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer out of the water, and it's not just because of the gore. I think the movie has a better atmosphere. I think it does a better job at getting into the mind of the serial killer. I think the conversations between Frank and himself are chilling. I just think Maniac is an overall scarier movie. I know I got a little carried away there, but that's just something that's bothered me for a very long time. But you know what? I want to hear from you. Do you like Maniac better, or do you like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer better? There's no wrong answer, I just like to know. And what's your favorite serial killer movie? Leave your answers in the comments. I'm very curious about this one. This is your buddy Justin, here to remind you that the Grindhouse will never die. I warned you not to go out tonight.